Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into another video on the Stony River channel. Today I'd like to talk about military surplus snowshoes. These ones are U.S. military surplus issued magnesium frame. The webbing is steel coated in nylon. Now these come with a binding typically, depending on where you get it from. They may or may not come with bindings. However, I've used an aftermarket binding. This is Marc's Snowshoe binding. And I've actually found these I really don't like these bindings, honestly, and I wouldn't mind kind of switching it back to the one that it was originally intended to be used. But yeah, so this is the U.S. military surplus snowshoes. It's 12 inches at its widest, 47 inches long. And snowshoes come in different shapes. This one would be considered a Huron shape, Huron. They're really long and they're really big. They're not very heavy though. The magnesium frame affords them pretty lightweight. I think they weigh just a couple pounds each. So they're not too heavy on your feet. But they are really long and big and makes it hard to turn around in. The biggest knock that I have on the U.S. military snowshoe is the lack of like an actual crampon. So you can see here the binding can rotate, but there's no crampon. There is a little like edge that you can kind of see right here that kind of cuts in, and that's pretty much it as far as grip into the snow. So it makes it really hard to go up and down hill. Yeah, it makes it pretty hard to go up and down hills. So that's my biggest knock. But I think the benefit of the military surplus snowshoe is it's incredibly durable. Feels like it's almost indestructible. It'd be great for deep, unpacked snow that's relatively flat. And on the flip side, I think the biggest downside to these is that they don't have that gripping ability. And they are so big that they're kind of hard to like turn around in and maneuver around in. And also, when you are on a packed snowshoe trail, you really don't need something of this size. So once again, this would be like flat, open landscape. It would be like crossing a frozen lake or something of that effect. But it would be pretty bad on like a hilly area that has a degree of topography. Up and downhill would be kind of annoying, or icy conditions, honestly, just because it can't cut in there. So, and then also, yeah, like I said, I did the aftermarket bindings, Marc's Snowshoe bindings, MARC. Just they slip off. The heel of the binding always kind of seems to slip. So I don't know. I would not a big fan of these aftermarket bindings they just didn't work for me. I'm not even a criticism of the company, but just for me, maybe I got the wrong size. I think I got the size. I think they come in 2 size increments, so I think I got 11 and 12, and I'm kind of somewhere in the middle of that usually for shoe sizes. So maybe I just purchased the wrong size or didn't necessarily install them properly. But not a big fan of the bindings. But the snowshoes themselves they're a tank. They're indestructible, and they're pretty good value now. It's interesting. I always thought that most U.S. military surplus was required to be made in the United States. Apparently these are made in Canada, so I'm not sure if have an exemption for Canada or something like that, or an exception for Canada. Excuse me. I really have no idea. But these are made in Canada for the U.S. military. Magnesium frame, steel webbing, aftermarket bindings, a couple pounds a piece, and as far as price, we're talking all over the place, just like a lot of surplus when you buy it online. I mean, I don't even remember what I paid for these. I'm guessing if I were to, this is years ago, $40 or $50 maybe online, but I've seen them anywhere in like the $30 to $40 range up into $100. So it just depends on what military surplus retailer you are going through, or whether you're going on eBay or whatever. So the price is widely variable, but I think if you can get them for 30 or 40 or 50, or even up to like $70, I think it's a good deal as far as their indestructibility. But yeah, they're really tough, but I just don't like the bindings that I have on these right now, and I'm going to change them. These are not my primary snowshoes. I just keep them as kind of a backup pair for really deep snow, or just to loan to other people. But personally, I like a little bit of a shorter one, because I hope, you know, as the winter season progresses, I'm on a packed trail, and at that point, you just don't need something this long, this 47-inch long, Huron-shaped military surplus magnesium frame steel webbing snowshoe. So the bindings are on. You can see there's 2 nylon webbing buckle straps, and then a rubber ring that fits around your heel. These are the Marc's snowshoe bindings. The lack of a true crampon on these makes going uphill difficult, and I'll demonstrate that right now. That's the one pretty big downfall of these military surplus snowshoes. Of course, the same holds true going downhill. You kind of just slide down with them. So I will say overall, I'm not really a big fan of the Marc's snowshoe bindings. Maybe I just got the wrong size, or they're just not right for my foot, but that back rubber end always seems to slip off my heel. I try to get it really high so it kind of sticks, and it just seems to always pop off, which really is annoying. So I don't know, maybe I got the wrong size, but I would definitely explore personally other binding options. All right, let's see how these big, long snowshoes perform in deep snow, which I think is probably their most useful terrain to travel on. They're not really that fun on a packed trail, but in some deep snow, let's see how unpacked snow in the middle of winter, let's see how they perform. So one thing to consider is that these snowshoes are so long that it can actually be really difficult to turn around, just to pivot around. That's where the smaller snowshoes tend to be more maneuverable when you want to spin around or pivot. So in summary, these military surplus snowshoes have some pros and cons. The pros is that they're really durable, made of high quality materials. They would probably last a really long time. The con is that they don't have any kind of a crampon or really any kind of a grip on the bottom side to cut into the snow or ice when you're going up or downhill. The bindings that I chose or recommended that I just saw online, the Marc's snowshoe bindings, they just keep slipping off. It's annoying. So I might try to use the original bindings or explore an alternative option. Once again, this is not a knock on Marc's snowshoe bindings. They just don't work for me. Maybe I got the wrong size. Maybe my feet are weird. I don't know. They're really big, so they can cut into some deep snow. However, they're difficult to kind of maneuver around in because they're so long, 47 inches long. But the price, I think, is all around a pretty good value, but it's just all over the place. So you'd have to kind of do some searching online for a price that's right. But they're very tough in construction, and I think they're probably going to last me forever. I just have to get a better binding solution. And yeah, they'd be great for deep snow. Maybe not as good for a packed down trail. So U.S. military surplus snowshoes with the aftermarket Marc's snowshoe bindings, the magnesium frame on the snowshoe, steel webbing with a nylon coat.